is threaded together tight with stitches from wounds. Me and Jelly been best friends 20 years. He slept on my couch. He went to jail. I went to jail, and we were there for each other. So watching him explode and reach the heights that he's reaching has just been so surreal and so amazing. My 3 youngest, their mother passed away from a fentanyl overdose. My kid's grandmother died from a fentanyl overdose. My kid's stepfather died from a fentanyl overdose. All 5 of our 7 kids have lost their other parent. Wow. I went back to the streets. Kind of gave up, when I should have kept pushing. Caught an indictment, conspiracy of 200 kilos. The friends that I've lost, the years that I lost, the family members that I've lost. For them to not die in vain, something great has to come from all of this, right?
Yeah.
And instead, now it gets to be a story of triumph and redemption that helps people.
Struggle Jennings, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Man, I'm extremely excited you're here. Actually, I've known of you for many years.
Likewise.
And, but we haven't really got to hang out and chat. So this is a good first time.
Yeah, we got so many mutual friends. And literally just in the last 24 hours of me saying, I'm going to see Ed Clay, I've had so many people like, oh man, tell him I said, hey. Like, we do the boxing with Fred Dulay.
Okay, yeah.
And Austin. We've got all the kids in this program there, giving them some after school activities and something to focus on and
that's awesome.
Keep their attention on, learn some respect and some skills and honor, right?
That's right.
And so he runs that program there and great friend, incredible. They just got hit by the tornado, but we've been able to maneuver and get into a different building while they're rebuilding and just to keep the kids active.
Got to keep them going. Are they taking?
But he told me to tell you hi as well.
All right, man. Tell him I said what's up. And do they need donations or anything? Are they?
Fred is one of those guys. Of course, they need donations, but he is so do it on his own and stubborn. He didn't ask anybody for anything.
I gotcha.
I know that they were leasing the building, so of course the insurance will cover a lot of it.
Gotcha.
But as far as like a new ring and stuff, we're definitely going to try to pull some stuff together to help him out.
Cool, man. Let me know.
Yeah,
let me know
for sure.
Yeah, I love all the old fight crew. It's a small community, kind of like the music community.
For sure.
It's a small community. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And, it was a long time ago, but I miss those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So, you grew up in Nashville. We were talking a little bit, before the podcast. And talk a little bit about growing up here and kind of the differences between growing up in Nashville and kind of where we're at now in Nashville.
Yeah. Well, we were saying it earlier. I miss so much of Nashville, how it was, but I love the growth and I love to see it expand as long as, it doesn't completely strip the nostalgia and the certain areas. Nashville has always been like one of those good old boy towns, and I didn't get to see it firsthand changing slowly because I went to prison in 2011.
Yeah.
Came home in 2016 to a completely different city.
Yeah.
Like I remember coming to the halfway house. I was in a federal halfway house when I left the feds and looking for places to rent or like what's going on. And I'm seeing houses on Cahal for $700,000.
Yeah.
That house was $25,000.
Yeah, exactly. That was a crack house back then.
Yeah. So I came home to it and I didn't really get to watch it change as much. So I had to come straight into it and adapt with it.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy for me because I came home with a new mindset, right? Came home with a different focus, and but I still love revisiting a lot of those gyms. Like I was telling you, I was at Wendell Smith's the other day, and coming here and seeing this place, and just finding those little spots that haven't changed, those little corners that are still have the nostalgia and that Nashville feeling. Because Nashville always had a feeling.
It did, man.
Right? I remember back in the day, there's so many LA musicians and stuff that would come here, big artists that would come here just to get away because, they didn't get bombarded by paparazzi or anything. It was just, everything was chill. And then, of course, you had, that's on the music side. And then, you had the street sides and it was just, it was a different time and a different era. I remember growing up in the Nations, and it was like, you right there backed up to Preston Taylor, right? So it was like Kentucky Hills and the train tracks separated, the white hood and the black hood.
Uh-huh.
And, where we grew up, it was surrounded by factories and prisons. So it was always like you either go work in the factory or you end up in the prison. It was kind of the mentality. But you would ride around the street. It was such a melting pot. You'd have all us out there listening to Tupac with braids in our hair, and then drive 2 streets over and our uncles would be out there listening to Leonard Skinner with mullets, throwing horseshoes, selling weed in the front yard, And it was a good blend and mix, and just it was home and homey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it really had a feeling that is not completely lost.
Yeah, no, it's not completely lost. I went to, where did you go to high school in Nashville?
My mother moved me back to Franklin.
Okay.
Because I got kicked out of Metro Public Schools in middle school. I was getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
She moved me back to Franklin. I went to Franklin High, Brentwood High, Centennial High, pretty much getting kicked out of those. And then my uncle got custody of me, and I moved back to West Nashville and went to Hillwood.
I see. Okay. Yeah, so I went to Overton.
Yeah.
And, one of the things I really appreciated about public schools in Nashville is very diverse.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, now it does seem like things are more segregated, where everything's about color or this stuff. But back then I didn't even know about it. I mean, everybody was my friend.
Yeah, no, we grew up, we didn't, especially in Nashville, we didn't see color.
Yeah.
It was, I'm drinking out the water hose with all nationalities.
That's right.
Like it wasn't, it was never about that. They've made it about that. And it's, the purpose, you separate to control, right?
Yeah. A lot of separating to control. I mean, I was actually, last night with my girlfriend, I read the Communist Manifesto probably, I don't know, it's probably 10 to 15 years ago. And so when I see certain things and certain buzzwords, it makes me, I'm like, that's how the manifesto is. Manifesto. She hears me saying this, and we had a discussion. I said, I'm just going to start actually reading this and showing this to you, because I forgot it too. It'd be good for good to
refresh.
Refresh. But it does seem like they're trying to divide us, and there's a plan. I mean, hell, we got 8 million people since Biden's been in office that have crossed the border.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bigger than some states.
Insane.
I mean, it's flooding, and you have to ask yourself, why are they doing this? And I think it is part of a plan. And you see these buzzwords that are going on, in society, and I just love America, man.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this is the land of opportunity. So many people. It was founded on people fleeing from dictatorship and from people ruling, and for a search of freedom and opportunity. And the American dream is still so alive and well, and they act like it's not. They do everything they can to mask it and cover it up. And as much as it seems like it's slipping, I think there's enough people that are standing strong on foundation and values, and especially now with so many opportunities to be an independent artist or to be a small business owner and thrive. Of course, you still have a lot of control from the corporations, and there's a lot of things as an independent artist I can't do, right? Because I'm not signed to a major. But still a lot of opportunity, and this is still the only place in the world that you can come from nothing and become a billionaire.
That's right. That's right.
And I have friends that fall more on the, socialism side, that they're like, yeah, but in other countries nobody comes from nothing. Everybody's like, yeah, but you're in this box.
Yeah.
You don't have the dream and the hopes and the drive to say, I want to go there.
Yes. Well, that's the American dream, man.
Yeah.
And this is the only country where you can, guys like you and I can get out of those situations that we were in and rise up and be successful. And we have that dream. And I don't think there's been an easier time, at least in my lifetime, to be successful than right now, because there's people are being programmed to think a certain way and not be it doesn't take hard work, it's just luck or circumstance. Like, no, you work around
an ounce of luck, man.
Yeah, no.
I tell my fans and my crowd every night, faith and hard work.
Yes.
You stick to it, you're going to come up in front of a lot of obstacles, but that's where the faith comes in.
Yeah.
And you just keep working hard, and you keep believing that, hey, as long as I'm moving forward, I'm going to get where I want to go.
Yeah.
It might be 10 times greater than I can even imagine, but if you keep shooting, you're going to land. And one thing that I preach heavy is like, the only way to lose is if you quit playing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one of the things I love about your story. So I don't know if you know, but I got arrested when I was 20. I was facing 15 years in prison. Got a 8-year sentence in Rutherford County. Served 8 months and got the rest on paper.
Yeah.
But to come back from that is difficult. But that's what it takes to be successful. And you did the same thing. And what's that been like? And we can go into when all that happened. But as you're spending 5 years in federal prison, right?
I did both. I did state and then federal. It was 5 years total.
Okay, as you're doing 5 years, were you just day to day planning? Were you just envisioning what you're going to do when you get out? What was that like?
Yeah, I was training, right? Mind, body, soul, spiritually. When I got into prison, when I got into jail, people ask me all the time, like, what did it feel like when that door shut behind you? And I was like, I was free. Because in the streets I was riddled with, people trying to kill me or police trying to bust me or, worrying about this person or that person, losing friends left and right, getting busted, whatever. So it was a sense of peace. I was like, okay, I'm here. Now what am I going to do with it? Mm-hmm. This isn't the first time I've been here. If I don't change something, it's not going to be the last. Through the process of going through prison, I was watching the mother of my kids get addicted to heroin, meth and then heroin. I watched my kids go into foster care. I'm watching them get drugged through trap houses and, eventually being in the state's custody. And I knew that everything that was happening to them was a direct result of my decisions. Mm-hmm. As much as I tried to try to justify it by saying, I'm doing it for the fam, I was just trying to feed my people and, all that irrational beliefs that were instilled with as children. I knew that they were becoming the victims of my crimes and of my decisions. So I hit the ground running. I was like, I immediately saw the two type of people that were in prison. There were the guys that were gambling and smoking and doing drugs and eating honey buns. And there was guys that were reading, going to classes, working out in good shape. And I said, that's what I want to be like. So I immediately just hit it. I took every class I could take. I read every book I could read. I trained like an animal. I lost 120 pounds. And I had some plans. But I see a lot of guys in there, they'll write out full business plans. Like they'll have their whole life mapped out for when they get out. And I encourage them to still do that. Any of them that see this or anything, they're like plan it out to a T. Just know that when you get out, you're going to have a lot of doors shut in your face and you're going to come up on a lot of obstacles, but it's still possible.
Yeah.
You can do it if you keep pushing to do it. So while I was in there, I was mentally preparing and physically preparing and emotionally preparing to come back out, get custody of my kids, no plan B, get this, follow my dream of doing music. And in the process, I was losing so much on the outside. I realized that I had no control of anything outside of those walls. The only thing I had control of is what I did with that situation, who I became, and how I came out. And in the process, I'm getting a little bit of that motivation from watching Yelawolf sign, who was a good friend of mine, sign with Shady and start blowing up. Jellyroll's out there, my best friend of 20 years. He's out there sleeping in vans, but traveling, touring, making a name for himself. And so I'm watching them achieve in a dream that we had all dreamed together. And that everybody said would never be possible, right? Mm-hmm. Some white rappers from Nashville. And so I'm watching it happen. And in the meantime, I had the song Outlaw Shit that I had recorded in 2008 where I sampled my grandfather. And I didn't release it till 2010 because everybody was like, oh, you can't mix country and rap. It's career suicide. Don't do it. So finally, right before I went to prison, I released it. So I'm watching the success of that. I'm watching this whole genre come up off of that song and off of the album that I released called I Am Struggle, where it was all sampled my grandfather's music. And so I'm seeing that there is an opportunity, but I know that it's still left up to me. It's still left up to the work I'm willing to put in. If I'm going to slip back into my old ways, if I'm going to allow myself to divert from the path that I know I have to travel.
How hard was it to not divert?
It's still hard every day. There's plenty of times, even now, where, the music business, doesn't matter how big you are, a lot of times you're still living check to check, and there's a lot of times where you get in those situations like, God, if I had one more run. Like, I could have one more run, baby. I know so much. I know how to do it. I know why I got busted, but it's like, you can't.
Yeah. That was what happened to me. Is actually, I was like, just one more time.
Yeah.
And then, I'm grateful for what happened to me, but you're getting arrested back in the day. But
me too. I tell people all the time, it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. What I find awesome about what you're saying, and, I believe that to be successful, you have to take personal responsibility for your life.
100%.
And you could have been a victim to those circumstances. And you could have made all these excuses and said, oh, it wasn't me. The system did me wrong, blah, blah, blah. They're not the reason that my kids are having some issues right now. But instead, you said, no, this is on me.
Yeah.
And I got to go out and make it right.
Accountability, man, makes the man. For real. It's life is so much easier when you really sit back and say, everything that happens to me is a direct result of a decision I made. Somebody T-bones me, man. I could have left 5 minutes earlier. I could have stopped to get a cup of coffee and not been at that intersection at that time. Like everything, like you can't be mad at anybody else. You got to take it on the chin and say, you know what? How can I make this better? How can I not let this happen again? And then you don't deal with anger and resentment.
Yes.
Because you're dealing with yourself. You're looking in the mirror like, fuck, I fucked up. Instead of, oh, he did it. You can't. The more that you're blaming people, the less you're going to find a solution.
Yeah.
Because you're just writing it off as somebody else's fault.
How did you learn that?
Trial and error. One of the things, one of the 4 agreements, I feel like struck a lot of the beginning of that thought.
Interesting.
A little bitty book, but it's so powerful.
It is.
And then just learning from there and looking at things, like it wasn't the guy that snitched on me. He couldn't have snitched on me if I wasn't selling drugs.
That's right.
It wasn't the cop that busted me. That was his job. It wasn't none of it. It's not the guys jailing me right now. It's not, my baby mama. It's not this person. It's not the government. Like, regardless, I still create and am in control of my reality and my world. Anything that comes at me, I have a few options, but really 2 options on how to look at it. Either how's it going to stop me or how am I going to move past it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing else.
It's interesting you said that because Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the 4 agreements, and where I really learned what you're talking about was at a place called Choice Center in Las Vegas where he used to teach.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, how do you know to take personal responsibility, not become a victim of your circumstances, and to own it? And that's where you find your power too.
Yeah.
Because when we're blaming other people for our problems, that's
giving the control away.
You got it. So.
Instead of saying, no, I'm in control of the situation. If I fuck up, I fucked up.
Yeah.
If I win, I won. If I lose, I chose to lose. Right? Instead of giving somebody else that power, I'm not gonna give that up. Because I have the strength and I have the willingness to work to fix it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great, man. That's awesome. Let's go back a little bit. I want to get into when you got out and the success that you've had since then. But growing up in Nashville, you talk about living in the Nations, going to a bunch of schools in Williamson County, then going to Hillwood. What was it like? Going through the daily cycles, we're talking about the different sides of the train tracks. What was that like? Maybe how did you get into some of the trouble you got in? And, what were some of the lessons that you learned while experiencing that?
Yeah, so I started pretty young. I had one of those almost picture perfect childhoods in the early days. Grandfather's Waylon Jennings. My mother is his stepdaughter, but he raised her, right? I get so mad when these people say in print his step grandpa, like that was Pawpaw.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever. You can say what you want. That was Papa. That man raised me.
Yeah.
But my dad was killed when I was 10. So the first 10 years of my life, you know, we lived in Franklin with my mom because my mom and dad split up when I was young. And I would go to West Nashville on the weekends and see my dad. My mom toured a lot because she was singing backup for my grandfather. So I didn't, you know, I had a lot of freedom as a kid and, you know, riding my bike around my neighborhood and my dad hung the moon. Like, I thought he was the coolest, toughest guy in the world. You know, he rode around in old school cars with a trucker hat, old West Nashville boy, you know, called him Fat Pete. You know, he was like the king out there. And so the first 10 years seemed pretty smooth and most that I can, you know, recollect. And then he got murdered when I was 10, which back then they told me was suicide. And he had called me that day, and I was outside playing football, and I told my mom, I'll call him back, I'm outside playing football. So I come in the house that night, I hear my mom back in the room crying. I was sitting down watching Roseanne, and all of a sudden cars start pulling in the driveway. And Waylon comes in. They all sit me down. They're like, your dad's no longer with us. So my mom kind of, I'm not going to say tailspins because, you know, she held her stuff together, but my mom was 16 when she had me. So she was a baby raising a baby. She was just kind of figuring it out herself. Amazing woman, and, you know, but she was learning the same way I was. We kind of raised each other, right?
Doing the best you can with what you taught. Yeah.
But she was singing back up for Waylon for a while. And then my dad got killed. She had gotten into a pretty abusive relationship, remarried to a guy who's a bodybuilder. And, you know, I watched him put his hands on her quite a bit. And, but she did good of shielding me from that, you know, but I still saw it. And, definitely something that I've dealt with throughout my life. As far as one of the last things I remember my dad telling me is that it is your job as a man to always protect and support the women in your life and women and children in general, right? But and watching her get her ass beat, I've got 3 assault records, charges on my record, and they're all from seeing some guy kicking his girl's ass, and I intervene. But so my dad dies, my mom divorces the douchebag that's been beating her up. And then she jumps into another relationship. My grandfather didn't really like it. You know, he's like, hey, you need to chill out. Like, you need to focus on your career and your son. And so they kind of had it out. And so we moved out of the house that he had bought for it and moved to Hermitage. And they threw me in DuPont Tyler. Right. Which was like total culture shock, right? And so I was there for a couple of years. Ended up getting kicked out in the 8th grade for having a gun. Started getting into gangs.
That's 3 years after your dad passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really about 2. Within 2 years, I was already had joined a gang, or it was a gangster disciple, and was running around with a pistol and 12, 13 years old.
And not to cut you off, but I want to. So that 2 years. I mean, you're 10 years old. Your hero, you were told, shot himself.
Yeah. Not in my living with the regret of, had I answered the phone that day, would he have not killed himself.
How long did that play through your head?
Until I was 18.
Okay.
And then my uncle told me that he didn't kill himself.
Oh.
He had been shot. A chapter of closure, right?
Yeah.
But I asked my uncle, like, why did everybody let me live with that regret?
Yeah, man.
And he was like, I would rather you live with regret than revenge. So that kind of closed that chapter. That was like a little bit of closure, right? Because I dealt with it all through my teens, threatening suicide.
All that anger.
All that anger, that resentment, or that regret, really.
Yeah.
The anger and resentment of, why would he leave me?
Yeah.
Why was I not good enough that he offed himself, And I was suicidal my whole life because of it, right? Like I always played with that when I was a teenager. And anytime I'd get in trouble or whatever, I'd put a gun to my head or, say I was going to do something. I'd like cut my wrist when I was young a couple times. Definitely struggled with that throughout my early teen years. It wasn't actually until a year and a half, 2 years ago that I found out who killed him, which is a crazy story. Should we go to that now?
Oh, yeah,
just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just recently, about a year and a half ago, I'd say, maybe 2 years ago, that they called me and told me that my aunt was on her deathbed. And she wasn't going to probably make it through the night. Favorite aunt, right? And I go over there and I see her and she's still so full of life. I'm like, what are you doing, baby? She's like, I'm just waiting on them to open up the door so I can see what's on the other side, And they're like, you sure are eating a lot. And she's like, yeah, baby, it's the Last Supper. She was just still full of life, but I got my arm around her. And a bunch of family in the room and one of my uncles calls. And my aunt's got him on speakerphone. My other aunt's got him on speakerphone. He's like trying to tell me something. I'm talking to him. I can tell he's crying and he's upset. I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's like, oh, your aunt's the one that killed your daddy. And I've got my arm around her. Right?
Oh my God.
But it was such a testament to who I am because I didn't feel any different about her. It was 32 years ago, right? My entire life, she was my rock. She was one of my favorite aunt. She always had my back. She would hide me from the police. She'd give me $50 if I needed it. She'd, come through and help with a light bill when I was a single father struggling in my late teens. Like she always had my back. And whatever happened that night happened. And I wish I could have got that closure, right? And just maybe know, but maybe it's not for me to know. But it was definitely another chapter, of getting that closure and saying, okay, well, now at least I'm not wondering.
Sure.
And I don't feel revenge.
Yeah.
Now, I don't feel regret because there's nothing I could have done. I don't feel resentment towards him, and I didn't feel any resentment towards her.
Yeah.
Because shit happens, right? My family had covered it up, and I commend them for that, right? Like they had kept that truth together because they didn't want to, whether it was an accident or, they just got into it and, it happened. It happened, and they didn't want to lose.
Complete control.
Yeah, they didn't want to lose their sister too. We just lost him, to death. We don't want to lose her to prison, So that was something that they swept under the rug and they kept, and shows me a lot about them,
Yeah, when you think about, all the things that you've had to overcome, and we'll go into some more of the 20s and stuff, and kind of as you got to be an adult, young adult.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're here now, talking and doing what you're doing, and the fact that you've overcome a tremendous amount of adversity. I mean, that's kind of what's made you who you are, today.
Oh, for sure. And it's given me a purpose, right? To where my life is completely purpose driven. It also not only just gave me a testimony to be able to tell others and show them, hey, regardless of what you're going through, you can get through it. You can still obtain and reach any goal that you want to reach. Right? Nothing can hold you back. Only you can hold yourself back. But like you said, it made me who I am. And I have no regrets. There's some things that I wish I might have done different. Sure. There's some moments I wish I would have stuck around a little longer. There's some, people I wish I would have been better to, or not been better to.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's no really regret because everything that happened along this journey led me to right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
My kids are happy, healthy, and thriving. My family is doing great. We're here, and we got a story to tell, and we are able to inspire so many people and help. That's been the biggest part of my brand. And it wasn't like it was meant to be that way.
Yeah.
We were just showing them the journey. You know, at first when I started rapping, I thought I was a white Rick Ross. You know, like a big old fat white guy with braids, selling drugs in the streets, diamond chains on, and you know, really living what I was rapping. And throughout the years, it's just we've kept a camera on it, and we've let people see. And they've seen the ups and downs, and they wrote letters while I was in prison, and I came home a completely different person, and but still the same, you know.
How much, you know, I heard you mention faith earlier. How much has faith been a part of this journey and to kind of rely on God and
every
tough times?
single bit of it? I say it all the time. I'm only alive surviving off my grandmama's prayers, right? I mean, I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've had bullets fly by my head so fast that they are so close that they burnt my face. I've been through so many situations that it's the only thing that explains it, right? Is that I'm here for a reason. I've got people that love me that have been super faithful and prayed, and my grandma really planted those seeds when I was a kid. You know, we went to church. My grandmother's mother was a Pentecostal preacher in Arizona, and she would carry people up into the mountains and like pray over them and heal them when women weren't allowed to talk in church. So my grandma always tells me that I'm covered by the blood of God's servants, right? I'm the seed of the servant. So, because my family's always been super strong warriors of God's. My grandmother Jessie, she's still 80, and she's just, if I need to know anything about life, or that's who I call. She's been through it all, you know.
Yeah.
Being married to Waylon for 50 years, and everything that she went through, you know, growing up on the turquoise and copper mines in Arizona, completely poor to, you know, having #1 records and traveling the world, and she's seen it all. And she has definitely been my spiritual guide and advisor through it all.
That's awesome.
And then when I got to prison, you know, I found a deeper connection. And people get so bent out of shape when people go to prison and find Jesus. Right? I already knew Jesus. I had Jesus tattoo. The second tattoo I ever got was Jesus on my arm, right? But like, when do you expect him to show up? When you're at your lowest, when you need it, when you're at your darkest, when you're wondering and questioning why and how, why am I here? Why do I keep coming here? Of course, that's when the Lord's going to show his face the most, right? So, you know, when I got there, that was part of my spiritual, part of the journey, right? I had to be balanced. You can work out all day, but if you don't deal with your emotions and your spiritual connection and, you know, your intelligence, you know, if any one of those are lagging, it's going to drag you back down.
Yeah.
You got to be balanced and strong and on. And that was a big part of it. So I probably read the Bible front to back 3 times while I was in there, and then really got into like theology and wanted to know, like, okay, what is this book I'm reading? You know, of course, and then I learned about like Constantine and the Council of Nicaea, and they throwing all the books. I said, where are those books? I want to read those books. So then I started digging into those books and reading those, and it was a journey, and you know, finding out who Jesus really was, and finding out how that connected in my life. And you know, I'm not huge on the establishment of religion, but I love anything that leads somebody to being a better person. Okay. And whatever that God is to them, I don't knock them for it. Me, myself, I'm a crusader, baby. I'm a warrior for God, and I pray to Jesus every night. Whatever makes you a better person, you know, I'm not going to knock you for it. And we can agree to disagree.
Sure.
And I think that's when people get so bent out of shape. You're so separated nowadays by religion and politics.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, bro, you have your opinion. That's
Yeah.
why we're in America. That's the great part about this. We can believe what we believe.
Yeah. And we used to have it. It used to be like that, where you could have difference of opinion, even talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And not be, you know, well, you're a bad person because you like Trump, or you're a bad person because you like Biden, or whatever the bullshit is. it's gotten very divisive. But that's part of the old Nashville that I miss. Is that you could have diverse opinions and you could have arguments about those things. That's still
Till I was 40, I didn't know if my best friend was a Democrat or a Republican. I didn't give a fuck what he voted. Like that wasn't even in conversation.
Yeah.
Till 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how hard people fight to divide us. Yeah. It's like, bro, we all got the same blood in us. There's one race. It's the human race.
Yeah.
Love and appreciate your ancestry, where you're from. But like, we're all together in this, man.
Well, that's why
this air.
Yeah. One of my heroes is Martin Luther King.
Oh man. True measure of a man is not. Dude, I could probably quote 10 of his. He is one of my favorites when it comes to like the things he said were so prolific.
Yes, they were. And talking about don't judge by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Really a colorblind society, and that's how I've looked at things my whole life. And I feel like now they actually want to put race or gender front and center.
Yeah.
And it's how people identify. And really strange because I feel like we've gotten worse recently because good people are called racist or a lot of different things when in fact no, like we just have never seen society like that, and society's the one that's turning itself
for sure. Elon did that chart. Did you ever see that chart that he did?
No.
Where it's like he was standing here and he was showing that he was he was a Democrat, and then as the world shifting, it like put him in a different political place, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that he changed his values or morals, it was just that it's doing this constantly, right? And it's constantly like, and it's all, it's on purpose. It's not, I don't knock anybody. If you're not hurting women, children, or doing some evil, fucked up shit,
yeah,
dude, you can have your belief. Me personally, I love this country, and I love God, and I love family, and I will die and fight to protect everything that I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people have different fights, and I don't knock them for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's and that's like a true open-minded position, and you think about like where you're coming from, anybody can do what they want to do, don't bother me or hurt me and my family, but don't hurt kids or women, etc. It's very open-minded, but where society has kind of pushed things.
To where you're having to take a stance now.
Yes.
So much more because of, this is how things are shifting. We've had an open mind and we've been very passive and allowed other people to have this, but now it's getting so far left, so far right, that it's like that's when the shit starts really setting in. And what I'm seeing though is that there's this group of the middle, right? That some might lean Democrat, some might lean Republican, but they're all kind of standing like, oh no, y'all are fucked up and y'all are fucked up.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. That's where it needs to be, right? It's like, no, okay, we see that you're being really extreme and you're not allowing my buddy here to believe how he wants to believe.
Yeah.
And you're being really extreme. You're saying that, so I think there is a strong place. I stand firm on what I believe. I don't talk about it in my music because my message and my mission is for people to gravitate towards my music and become better people, to get through addiction, to come home from prison and turn their life around, whatever alcoholic, whatever battle they're fighting, to let them know that they can overcome that and they can have it all. They can go get their kids back. They can rebuild those relationships. They can, start a business. They can thrive and nothing is holding them back. And I don't want, because somebody doesn't agree with my political belief, for them to not get my message.
Of course.
Right? So I don't talk about it much now. God, We Need You Now went #1 independently, Billboard, and was #1 on iTunes for months. And it was picked up by people, It was picked up first by the Republicans and then like the Canadian truckers and then, all these different people using that as an anthem for their battle cry. And it was beautiful. If you listen to the words of it, it's saying exactly what I stand on now. I wasn't leaning. People all the time be like, oh man, you put this song out as a Republican song. I'm like, the only thing I'm talking about is God, family, don't fuck with kids. If that makes me a Republican, I guess that's what I am, right?
Right.
But they took it there, and music's translated however people feel, and that's the beautiful part about the art is I can tell my story and people can connect with it in their lives and with their story, and use that. I've had so many songs that I get thousands of people commenting like, oh, this brought me and my daughter back together. This got me and my mom back in a better place. Or me and my father reconnected over this song. We hadn't talked in 5 years, So that's what my purpose and my mission is to heal.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's got to be fulfilling when you get those messages and you're like,
oh, man,
that's the purpose.
It's what keeps me straight. I tell people all the time, I'm like, as much as they say that I inspire them, they inspire me, they hold me accountable.
Yeah.
They give me a responsibility. So now my integrity's got to be in check, because if they're getting this much inspiration and I'm leading them to be better, if I start falling short too much, we all fall short. I stumble all the fucking time, but I get back up. And if I fall short too much, then what does that do for their journey if the person that they're watching and believing in and getting strength from can't hold his shit together? So it holds me accountable and keeps me responsible for my own shit too.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. One of my favorite quotes is, when in doubt, focus out. Focus on, when's the last time you felt bad feeding the homeless? Or when's the last time you felt bad, doing something for somebody else? And you don't, because you feel good. Yeah. You're in the giving. And with music, and especially how you look at it, that's seems like the ultimate compliment. Yeah, when it actually does touch them and, it's making other people's lives better. It gives you a major purpose. You said you're purpose driven.
Yeah, man. Purpose over popularity. Yeah. That's what I say. I could probably be a way bigger artist if my content was different. But you got to listen to a lot of my music, you got to be ready. You got to be willing to look in the mirror. You can't be a shitty father and listen to my music because I'm going to make you feel like an asshole. You're going to want to change. You're going to have to face those demons and be ready to fight.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah, and I love it. Like what you say is, dude, when I do those meet and greets on tour, and those people come up and they're like, grab me, and grown men will fucking, cry. And we were like, literally hold each other for a couple minutes while they're telling me like, dude, your music got me home from prison and got me through this, and I've battled addiction. And then I get the fans that I've met 7 years ago that was like, man, I'm 2 weeks sober. And I'm like, stay up. And every fucking year I see them, they're like, I'm 2 years sober. God, nice. I'm 3 years sober. There's nothing that feels better than that,
That's awesome. Yeah, right now, in the last few years, we've had a influx of addiction-related, deaths.
Oh, yeah.
Fentanyl's been going crazy. You see it all the time.
How much I've dealt with that?
How much?
I've lost the mother of my children. My 3 youngest, their mother passed away from a fentanyl overdose. Her mother, my kid's grandmother, died from a fentanyl overdose. Their uncle died from a fentanyl overdose. My kid's stepfather died from a fentanyl overdose. All 5 of our 7 kids have lost their other parent, me and my wife's.
Wow.
Countless friends. My wife's brother died last Friday, was brain dead from an overdose. So we're still dealing with it daily. Our family is threaded together tight with stitches from wounds, all right? And we've healed together, and we continue to, and that's another reason that it gives me that purpose so much. It's so easy to get high, right? There's so many things that I could escape from today. So many emotions and feelings. But what I've watched drugs do to my family alone, not to mention the 30 friends that I've watched leave in the last 5 years from fentanyl overdoses or drug overdoses, and what their kids go through, it's probably one of the biggest epidemics that we really face.
It is.
And it is just fed to our children. It's in everything now. I know guys that thought they were popping a Percocet, pain pill, and it was fentanyl pressed in Mexico, pressed in China. You know, it's a real deal. And it's, you know, I beat it into my kids. They've lost parents, so hopefully they don't make those same decisions, because I've told them, like, it takes one time.
Yeah.
Their mom had gotten out of jail. She was 90 days sober, got high again, and died.
Man.
You know.
This is different too, because, you know, I mean, some people have fentanyl addictions, and then there's the side we're talking about, it could just be in a pill you didn't know about. That's different than, you know, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. No, drugs aren't, not that drugs were ever safe, but they were safe, right? I did a lot of them when I was young, right? And now, me and Jelly, we just had one of our best friends die from a fentanyl overdose, and he was snorting cocaine.
Yeah.
There's 5 people in the room snorting out of the same pack of cocaine, and he just got a wrong chunk that has some fentanyl in it, you know?
Man.
So it's like, it's you don't know where it's going to pop up, and the shit's not safe anymore, you know? Even pain pills, because they're repressing them with fentanyl, because they can put the tiniest amount of fentanyl in it and make you think that you're getting that opiate.
Man. Yeah, it's such a crazy thing, because as you said, you know, the drugs were a lot safer 20 years ago, and they really, I mean, in that sense that they were. I don't think that most people do cocaine and expect to die from, you know, from doing it, you know, because of fentanyl. I had a friend about a month ago, same thing. Cocaine was laced with fentanyl, dead. And, you know, that's another thing. In a way, it seems like a plan, because, you know, it is coming in from Mexico. We know how they're getting it in. It's coming in from China. We know how they're doing that. And it doesn't seem like, I mean, you think about what happened with COVID. You know, they shut everything down, didn't really think about mental health or the impacts it was going to have on people. Because if you were if you suffer from depression, and all of a sudden they say you have to stay inside, you can't leave, you can't move,
can't go to gyms, can't go to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have
outlet.
Yeah, they just crush it. And so, you know, I said that during COVID, that they're not thinking about those people. They're not thinking about the people with addiction. And, you know, I was running the numbers from the very beginning, and I was looking at different epidemiologists, and there was a cruise ship in March where everybody in the cruise ship, March of 2020, when it all was going down, everybody in the cruise ship got COVID, and you could pretty much see by age who would have a bad outcome or who could have a bad outcome, or who wouldn't, et cetera. And, you know, it was about 1 in 5,000, 1 in 5,500 people under the age of 40. And those were from the New York numbers. So I'm like, we're locking these people up. And to this date, you know, every year we've had about 100,000 people die of overdoses. Well, that's in 3 years. That's 300,000 or so people, give or take, in the United States. You know, that's 10 times those that were under 40 that died of COVID.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really think about what that was doing to younger people, and how it would cause, you know, even more addiction.
Yeah. Well, and it's a whole cycle too. You just think about even from the street side, right? You got these guys that have jobs and hustle, right? Or have jobs, can't go to work, start selling drugs again, or using drugs again, right? Fentanyl is so cheap, they can add it to the drugs, cut it, quadruple, 5-10 times their money. And so then, I mean, it was a whole cycle of all of that. It wasn't, you know, it spread the fentanyl out so hard, so heavy. And then, like you said, with the mental health, like I had a key to a gym where I would have went fucking crazy. I did go crazy, to be honest.
We all did.
I got like super like malicious and was, I mean, I thought I mean, not malicious, but super militant, right? And I was like, okay, it's coming. The end of the world's coming.
Yep.
Like I had a moment where I was losing myself, right, in all of it. And I was, you know, I felt like I was mentally prepared for anything.
Yeah.
But that was a rough time. But also went from it and maneuvered and figured out other sources of income.
Yeah.
And we still did great and thrived from it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, it was same here. I mean, it was, as it was going down, I remember, I don't ever watch the news. And I was watching the news probably on this TV for like 3 or 4 days, right when they shut everything down. And I would go to bed and I was having nightmares, and it was just this racing brain. I'm like, this isn't normal. I feel like I'm being programmed or something to have this crazy anxiety and fear. And that's what they were pumping through the TV.
Oh,
fear.
The whole feed. I ended up by about 2021, 2022, I unfollowed about 90% of the people I was following.
Yeah.
Because it was just nonstop.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially the guys that were just posting memes and videos, but like they're not doing anything about it.
Sure.
It's just like, just pumping more and more fear. It's like, I don't want to see that, man.
Yeah.
It kind of comes to a point where like, I love everybody and I wish I could change the world. But we've heard forever that the way you change the world is to start inside your home, right? I say it on stage all the time. I say, I don't want to hear none of you motherfuckers complaining or bitching about the way this country is if you're not raising your kids to change it. All right? So I started in my home and I kind of had a front yard policy. Like, I'm going to stay aware and I know what's going on, but I'm not going to get fearful or get into attack mode until it's in my front yard.
Yeah.
Right? Until it comes to my doorstep, because otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy, man. Like, there's so much from so many different angles of that fear of like, especially for our kids and what we want for our kids, and thinking like, some of my kids were coming home like, Dad, we're probably not even going to get to graduate college. Mm-hmm. The world's not even going to be around that much longer. My 24-year-old daughter at the time, a couple years ago, she was at that point where she was just like living like, oh, it's going to end any day. Because that's what's like being pumped from the people she was following.
Yeah. And at what point did you know it was bullshit?
Well, I knew that it was all bullshit probably a month into it.
Yeah.
It was about a month of it. I remember we were all down in Florida on vacation when the shit hit. And March, right after the tornado, it just hit Nashville. And it was 2020, March 2020.
Yeah, March 2020, yep. Yeah, it was a week after that they shut everything down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were down in Florida, and we're watching it from vacation. I got all the kids in the house, and in the Airbnb, and we're watching. We ended up staying an extra week because nothing was shut down there. So we're like, yeah, we're good. We're just going to hang out down here. Now I'm like having to go into Publix and fight for meat and stuff, right? And then it got to the point where it was like, oh, they're going to close the borders down. I was like, well, we got to get home. So we jumped in the car. We all got back home. And there was about a month of that where it was like, okay, we're going to wear a mask. We're going to, put the stuff on our hands. And then it was like, oh, fuck this. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
And we went on about life, and crazy times.
It was, man. We had we had our hospital, and we were worried about them closing the border.
Yeah.
And so we shut down for 2 months. Had to let about, I think it was 200 employees go for a minute. We got them all hired back, but we were completely shut down. And there were metastatic cancer patients, stage 4 cancer patients, that were more afraid of COVID than they were of their terminal cancer. Yeah. And, the amount of fear that has to go into society to actually be that, delusional, is incredible. I watch a lot of people I would consider my friends that were patients die, because of the fear.
Yeah.
And it was strange. And then, going from, actually, you were one of the first people to do a show without a mask. Yeah. Do you remember seeing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that all about?
Well, so we tried to tour as much as we could. And I had a strict policy. Like, that shit is dangerous. Like, when they made my kids wear masks at school, they were like coming home with their fucking mouth broke out
rashes
from the moisture and rashes and stuff. And imagine what that's doing to your lungs, right? So then I looked into it and like all the stuff that it can that bacteria that you're breathing and pumping right back into your lungs.
Yep.
And I got COVID a couple times, lost taste and smell. One time I was like super weak, but I didn't get the, the crazy effects of it or whatever, right? I didn't get like super sick. I have a couple friends that got pretty sick off of, and they were like, "Oh, that shit sucked," like the flu or like pneumonia. I've got bad lungs because I've had pneumonia tons of times. But so we're out on the road, and they were they told me, they said, we have hired 10 extra people today to watch your fans. And if they pull their mask down, take a drink. If they don't pull it right out, they're kicked out the first time.
That's so stupid.
I said, well, we're going to have to cancel this show. You're going to kick my whole crowd out.
Yeah.
Right. And my son, my 21-year-old son, he was 19 at the time, 18. I got him on tour with me at the time, and he was my loader. Mm-hmm. And we're in a completely empty venue. Nobody's in there. And they're trying to make him wear a mask to load the equipment.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's 90 degrees outside. He's fat, big old boy. He's 300 pounds. I'm not fixing to he's going to die. He's going to pass out trying to carry this equipment in. There's nobody in here. Y'all, they're just being ridiculous at this point, right? And so I canceled that show, but went in and wrote a check. So this is for y'all's day. It took a $4,500 loss, but they had opened their doors. They had employees. They had already got pulled permits. They had done all the stuff they had to do, right? Cut the check, said that, our moral compasses are just pointing a different way. All good. Yeah. No harm. I'm just not going to do the show. Went down the street to a pizza place and did all the meet and greets.
Oh, nice.
At a place that wasn't requiring masks. So, because it got ridiculous.
It got ridiculous. All common sense, went out the door. I've been working on some mRNA technology for a while. And, we have a cellular manufacturing and vaccine lab. So it's not like I don't know about vaccines. Yeah. And so watching, this idea of mRNA be pushed to the masses, I like it for instance, you take a piece of a tumor, you sequence it, you make a specific mRNA vaccine for a patient's tumor. I like that. You're not putting it in 350 million people in America. This is with people with stage 4 cancer. The cancer is likely to kill them. Hopefully this can help. The side effects aren't as important per se as, the side effects if it's a mass vaccination campaign. Yeah. And so watching it unfold and the suggestion that it was going to be completely safe, and then watching that they said first, you can't get COVID if you have the vaccine. I knew that was a lie. You can't transmit COVID if you get the vaccine. I knew that was a lie. Natural immunity doesn't work, and that's all misinformation. I knew that was a lie. Natural immunity has always been better than vaccines. And they were saying that even after there was an Israeli study that showed that the natural immunity was 27 times more effective than the vaccine. And they were still pushing this, this really bad idea. And so I was fighting the whole time. I got shadow banned. I got kicked off of YouTube. And it was tough. But I also saw, if you look at I always wondered, how the Nazis could do what they did. How did people just let that happen? Yeah. And I felt like, I never thought America would ever be down for a lockdown. Yeah. And I think we saw how, if they want to do it in the future, they already have the playbook.
Oh, yeah.
On how they would do it again.
Oh, I got the playbook too. I'm going to go take over the Walmart they shut, and we're going to put a camp up right there.
There we go.
And as long as them lights are on, we're going to have plenty of food. I'm not going to go for it again. I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
If it was like something that I really believed was that bad, I took precautions, right? I did the things that I felt would keep my family safe and healthy, and right. And we doubled up on the vitamins and the zinc and the vitamin C, and went and got IVs, and did a lot of things to wash their hands a little bit more, played in the dirt a little bit more. All right, a little bit more time outside.
Yeah.
Get some sunlight, you know.
So you took it serious, though. You're like, okay, it's a serious thing.
Because people were dying, you know, people were getting sick. And I'm never going to just discredit somebody or be irresponsible with somebody else's wishes.
Absolutely.
Right? Even if I don't agree.
Yeah.
And that was one of my arguments. Like, hey, you got a mask on. You're good.
Same.
I'm going to choke to death.
Yeah.
Like, that shit fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a big old boy. I got a raspy voice. That mask does not work for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to suffocate.
Yeah.
But you got yours on.
Good.
I'm not looking at you any different for having it on.
Yeah.
You know? And that's, you know, that goes back to the same thing. It's like just opinions and beliefs, man. Like, you can have yours.
Yeah.
Stay 6 feet away. It's okay. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
But like trying to shut down Thanksgiving, fuck you.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to see my family. We're going to break bread. We're going to eat, and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, they definitely did that, and you know, it was sad to me. My best friend died growing up. He died of COVID. 40 years old, 350 pounds.
Yeah.
As he was going through, I was like, hey, you know, you might want to look at that vaccine. So I'm definitely not anti-vax.
Yeah.
I think if you're healthy, especially if for kids, you know, it's not needed, especially if you've already had COVID. Like, you know, not needed. Now, somebody 65 and up, I think there's a good argument for it. I think if someone's really, really overweight, you know, it's up to them. By the way, I'm no judgment whether they do it or not.
Yeah, no,
I'm just just
I've
my
got
thought
a lot
process.
of friends that got it.
Yeah, and that's all good. But you know, it was the division that it caused. Mm-hmm. You know, that's really, you were talking about division earlier. That's what it did. It caused this division to where not all the vaccinated people, but they made it sound like vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Yeah. You know, if you're unvaccinated, you're this and that.
You don't care about the next person. Like, no, but it's my body. I take a holistic approach.
Yeah.
I don't even really, before I take ibuprofen, I'm going to drink water and probably take a nap or meditate.
Yeah.
Before I even take ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, that's just my personal beliefs. I like a more holistic approach. I don't want something in my body that I don't know about, that hasn't been tested.
Yeah.
You know, and I've watched a lot of young, very in shape athletes and people that, you know, died from cardiac arrest that was linked back to the vaccine because it just didn't connect with their body right.
Yeah. No doubt about it. We've seen a lot of that. We're treating a lot of patients right now with the stem cells, both vax injured and COVID injured. You know, it's both were bad. You know, see a lot of lung injuries with COVID. See a lot of weird reactions with the vaccine. I mean, it's I think they were both bad, but like you said, I mean, I'm more of a holistic approach too.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be healthy and take my vitamins and get sunlight. You know, first I said don't go out in the sun. I want to get sunlight, get exercise. If you look at the studies too, next to organ transplantation, the highest risk of dying of COVID were those that were least active. Number 2 was obesity. Of course, if you're not very active, you're probably going to be obese. But, you know, they were saying don't be active.
Yeah.
And when in fact, the opposite was go be active, go be in the sunlight. You know.
I love the study that with a trial and error, I mean, well, it wasn't any error, but in Smith and them, with their gym, they had hundreds of thousands of people visit the gym.
Yep.
And everybody that was coming to the gym, they didn't have one single COVID outbreak in the gym, right?
Yeah.
Or from any of the members. And that was just kind of a testament to that as well. It's like, if you're, what the Chinese say, a disease can't set up in running water.
Oh, yeah.
Sickness can't set up in running water. Like, if you keep moving and you keep your body, it's a lot harder for things to set up and attack you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was interesting times.
I was one of those maniacs that thought that in 2020 that tequila
killed it.
Killed it.
You're probably right.
I drank a bottle of Casamigos sitting at the house every day. Yeah. And it was pretty not healthy, but it felt good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I had plenty of that going on as well. You were talking about shutting down the schools and what they did with the masks in the schools. It was interesting because Mayor Cooper at the time, had East Ivy, the event venue going on, so they shut down weddings.
Yeah.
I had a bad little clause in my contract to where
I owed all the deposits back. We couldn't reschedule them. So I owed $203,000 in deposits back. And this is while we're closed down, like pretty much, I was close to bankruptcy. And we ended up closing down that business, and then I personally paid everybody back. And some people were still upset, but the mayor at the time in Nashville opened up the city in the end of June of 2020, and we're like, we're back open. July, we had weddings. We're like, finally. He opened it up for 1 week. Do you know what happened that week that he opened it up?
You got a bunch of deposits.
I don't. No, I wish
that you had to pay back.
His son had his school graduation.
Wow.
And then he shut it back down the next week, and I owed another $53,000 in deposits for the month of July. And it was wild times. There's a bunch of those shenanigans going on, not just in Nashville but throughout the country. And what we saw, hopefully, is a lesson to people. I mean, guys like you stood up against it, said, "We're not dealing with this. We're not going to do this mask BS." Guys like me, I stood up with it very publicly. But I got shadow banned.
Yeah, I caught a lot of heat too, and I watched all my social numbers crash, right? And I wasn't even, I was just standing on my stance. It wasn't even like I wasn't, one of those guys that was posting constantly about it or any of that. I never did any of that. I just, in real life, took those stances, whether it be at a venue saying, no, I'm canceling the show because they want us to wear masks, or, hey, we're doing these 3 shows, you don't have to wear a mask, or, whatever. Like, I took some stances personally, publicly, but I wasn't pumping anything online. And I watched my story went from 40,000 views to 500 views. Every time I posted something on my story.
Yeah.
Especially I did that tour with Tommy Vexed.
What about that one?
Well, we did a tour called God Bless the Outlaws. Great tour. We had a blast. But all my numbers, as soon as Tommy started posting my name, whoosh,
really,
my numbers went in the toilet.
Was he going hard?
Well, yeah, he was going hard. He was one of those guys that was like his entire story. He got kicked off his label for taking his stance, and he just constantly that was his main focus.
Yeah,
it still is. He's still doing it. So
man.
But yeah, as soon as he came to me like, hey, we think both of y'all have a lot of the same beliefs. Y'all should do this tour together. No masks. It's a freedom tour. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And I was out there about a week.
No reach.
No, and Bonnie's hitting me like, what is going on with our numbers? I was like, I'm out here with this guy. Every time he mentions me, nobody sees my Instagram for 2 weeks.
Oh,
right?
Man.
Which is crazy, that freedom of speech has gotten that controlled.
It is, man. They can just shadow ban you. You're still there, but nobody can, hear what you're saying from the list of people that you built. What do you think of Elon right now?
Elon Musk. I don't know, man. It's such a love-hate thing because it's like he'll say something really cool, but then he wants to put chips in our brains. It's like, like I think I love a lot about him, but then there's some things it's like, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm not with that.
Yeah.
That
whole chip in the brain thing's a little weird.
I loved when he, bought Twitter and just started trolling everybody. That was cool.
Yeah,
that's fun to watch. That's the thing, man. You create your own reality. Like in my world, none of that shit really matters.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't allow it to affect me. Mm-hmm. But boy, it's like watching WWE.
It is.
Politics and everything. It's like watching good old 80s wrestling.
Those are the best days, man.
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan.
Man, Sting.
Let's go. Sting, yeah.
Dude, I just got to meet Hulk Hogan. It was, he's really Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah?
Still. Yeah, I got to meet him.
How big is he?
He's about my size.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like he might have been an inch or two taller than me.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he's exactly what you think he would be.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Going back to, we kind of started talking about a lot of other things. You're talking about you growing up, 18 years old. You'd kind of had from say 12 to 18.
Yep.
some rough times. Take us through, when you were 18, the change when you found out about your dad that he didn't kill himself, and what went on after that.
Well, by that time I was already, 5 years into my criminal behavior, and by the time I was 18, I was finding out that I was about to have a daughter, right? So where I had been super wild, 16, 17, what we like to call a cowboy. I was running around robbing and, acting wild. Strung out on cocaine for years, selling it to do it pretty much. Found out that I was having my first kid. And where I'm from, that I settled down. So I quit using cocaine and quit robbing people and started selling weed. That's settling down where I'm from. And so had Brianna at 19, and my life changed. Like I was still hustling, and always kept a job. So it was pretty much just working, selling weed, and running around, and then it always snowballs, right? Like you start off with, I'm just going to sell a little bit of drugs just to pay the bills, fill in the blanks from where I'm working. And then it goes to, well, I need money to put down on a house, or I need to buy a car. And it just snowballs. And before you know it, you're getting 100, 200 pounds of weed a week. And, the environment changes around you. There's a lot more violence and people trying to come at you. And then, of course, you got to protect yourself. And so it's a snowball effect, and it happens fast, especially if you're good at it, right? So that started happening. By the time I was 21, I had built a pretty big network in Nashville. Caught a charge for a Class D for 10 to 70 pounds for selling 25 pounds of marijuana. Went to jail.
Davidson County?
Yeah. Okay. Went to jail. Got a 3-year sentence, right? 2 3s and a 1 run concurrent because it was 2 separate sales. I didn't actually do the sales, but the person told on me, and they had a little bit of wiretap and had a little bit of video where they came in my house and stuff. And the guy who had made the sales, of course, I had sent him to drop it off, so I took accountability for it so that he didn't go to jail. Did 13 months in county jail. Did the little program that they had because, anything under a 6, you would just stay in the county or go to CCA. Anything over a 6, you go to prison. I just got a 3. So I was in county for that 12, 13 months. Did the drug program, petitioned the court because I didn't know where my kids were. In the process, right before I went to jail, a deal had went bad with a friend of mine, and it was tied up with the feds. So the mother of my kids had been present during the sale, and so they had came and indicted her. So my kids were being bounced around while she was going through the federal system. And then they were like coming at me saying, oh, we know you're involved. We know it was your drugs. And, I just did what we do and kept my mouth shut and said, okay, if you can prove it, arrest me. At the time, though, I'm not being able to find my kids, right? My mother of my kids is in and out of federal halfway house, and she's fighting the case. So I petitioned the court and said, hey, I need to get out. My kids need a father. I did the drug program. I had 2 months left to flatten it, right? But I didn't know where my kids were. And he was like, okay, well, I'll put you on 3 years community corrections.
3 years after you only had 2 months.
Yeah. I only had 2 months left to flatten a 3 because you get 2 for 1s and good days, right? So I only had 2 more months to flatten the 3. And he said, you can go home today, but I'm going to give you 3 months community corrections. And if you fuck up, I'm going to double it.
3 years?
3 years, okay. Yeah. 3 years community corrections. And if you fuck up, I'm going to double it. Mm-hmm. He didn't think I was going to take it, but I wanted my kids back. Right? I wanted to go find my kids. At that time, I had Brianna, and then I had my oldest son while I was in jail. He was born while I was in there. And so he was just a baby. He was like 9 months old. My daughter's 3. So I went home that day, went and got him. Was a single father, got my own place, and walked that 3 all the way down. Didn't sell drugs, worked a job, 2 jobs when I had to. In the process of that, got with a new girl, had my 3rd child. And for the first 4 or 5 years coming home from that sentence, I stuck to my guns. You know, I didn't go back to selling drugs. We struggled. I worked night and day, you know. I remember going and buying $30 cheeseburgers from Wendy's to feed the household, because at this time I've got my kids, 2 friends, my girlfriend, her brother, her other brother. You know, we got 10 people, 12 people that I'm providing for, even at this point, just off working a regular job. And, you know, life kept happening. I fell short again, gave in, you know, got an eviction notice. Friend called, hey, man, you know, you don't got to be in that situation, you know, and it just once again snowballed again. I got back into the streets. That was probably 2005.
What part of Nashville were you living in then?
Antioch.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Over by like Hardin Place or Haywood Lane. Right in the middle of it. And me and Jelly were good friends. We became best friends in 2004. But I got back in the streets probably about 2005-ish. And once again, you know, built it up to where I was making a lot of money and still taking care of a lot of people. And but just that constant chaos, you know, of that life. Signed a record deal in 2008 with a company called Mass Bomb. The guy, Sebastian, he's actually here today. He's still my right-hand man to this day and shoots all my content. We've been actually documenting my entire life and have all the footage since '08 before going into prison.
Oh, that's awesome.
He picked me up from prison. So that's a big project that it's going to be crazy.
I can't wait.
You got to find the right person.
Yep.
You know, it's got to be done right. But 2008, signed a record deal. I remember the day I signed the record deal, I brought my scales with me, and they were covered in cocaine. I mean, they just had the whole tops of it, all in the crevices and stuff, you know, just from all the hustling that I was, you know, the hustling that I was doing and stuff. And I threw them away. I was like, all right, I'm done. And started going to Atlanta, recording, working on, I was doing some songs with Drummer Boy and working on my rap career. And then the guy who, my right-hand man, his father passed away. And it kind of put everybody in a tailspin. He went through some tough times in his life, and he kind of backed off from having a label, or from the label, right? He needed some personal time. And in the process of that, I went back to the streets. Kind of gave up, you know, when I should have kept pushing. I should have just, you know, picked the ball right up and kept going. I just, once again, that was before I was holding myself accountable, right? And caught an indictment in, I guess it was 2010. Fought that case, and then in 2011 they came and got me, picked me up on federal charges and state charges. And Zilla, who you had on the show, Edward Crowe.
Oh, yeah.
He was actually the one who dropped me off. The Fed said, oh, we need, because I was on federal bond. And he was like, they called and said, hey, we need a drug screen. So he drove me to the federal building. Poor thing sat out there like 5 hours. They had arrested me. Already had me down the street in a holding cell. And he's still sitting outside thinking I'm going to come back out. Came out 5 years later.
Man. So they got you on a drug test, but it was obviously a
drug test.
Yeah, it was a setup. They were having you come in for that.
Yeah, they had indicted me on a conspiracy of 200 kilos.
Wow.
And 300 pounds of weed in the school zone. There was a bunch of like money laundering and stuff attached to it. A group of my friends, my guys that I was working with, they had got arrested months before that. and I thought I had slid out of it. And then one of the guys ended up turning, listened to all the wiretaps, and they wanted to know who I was. And he told them who I was, so then it pulled me into the whole case. Because I've never been caught with anything. I've never actually, I'm a 7-time drug felon, and I've never actually been caught with a gun. I've been caught with a lot of guns. Never been caught with a drug in my life. It was always conspiracy and, phone conversation or somebody testifying against me.
Gotcha.
But so they had all got wrapped up in this case, and then last minute, the guy comes back and they re-indict 10 of us.
Man.
And I was already fighting a federal case at the time where somebody had set me up, a girl that I knew, set me up on a sale for Oxycontins. And I didn't even sell Oxycontins, or I was anti-Oxycontin. But she had a bunch of them. A friend of mine that had just came home from the war and was on disability. He had lost his lung to Q fever, I think is what it was called. Kicking doors in, some chemicals got in his mouth, shut his lungs down. And but he was a good friend of mine. He was like, bro, please get those for me. I can make this much money off of them. And I was like, all right, I got you. And we went to go do the buy, and she set us up. But the buy didn't actually go through. They didn't find the money, and it was, looked like it was going to be able to get beat in court. But then he got a little spooked because they were threatening to take away his benefits and make sure it's under my chin. They were threatening to take away his benefits, his kid's college, all this stuff from, being a vet. And so he ended up, rolling on me. But, so I ended up with the 2 cases. We fought them the best we could. I got 57 months in the feds, 13 years at 30% in the state, right under 5 years. 13 and a half years in the state for cocaine conspiracy of special amounts. Went to the state pen, did a couple years, made parole because the feds had a hold on me. So they just paroled me out to the feds.
Yep.
As soon as I got to the feds, I'm thinking my time's running together. And the feds say, oh, no, your time's starting now.
Oh, man.
And I was like, I thought I had like 10 months left.
Oh,
and now they're
man.
saying I got 57.
Damn.
But I did the drug program, which knocked a year off. And then Obama had passed that Fair Sentencing Act
Okay.
with the nonviolent offenders
Yep.
that took 11 months off my sentence.
Okay.
So, because it was just a drug charge with no gun involved. And so I ended up doing right at 5 years and then coming home to a federal halfway house and come off parole in 6 months.
Oh, man. That's a big day.
Yeah, man.
That's a big day. What are you gonna do to
I'm
celebrate?
gonna treat it like I did the rest of the time so I don't get back on parole.
There you go. There you
Yeah. My wife says all the time, she's like, I'm kind of scared for you to come off parole. Like your slapper might come back,
go. Yeah.
Somebody get too disrespectful. I jump out the car. I'm pretty bad about like acting, right? But then I've got that little safety net that's like, you're on parole.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times I've learned that things can be settled so much easier with conversation.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. Yeah, and it's, parole too, you got 6 months. So worst case, you violate and go in for 6 months, right?
Yeah, probably so. And that would flatten it at this point. Unless I caught a new charge.
Yeah.
Which, my life is pretty much based around music, family, you know, doing stuff with the kids and the old lady or being at the gym or at the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my days. I even had to cut back on the drinking a lot because it was, not only does it affect my physical goals, right? Because it's just something about tequila. It keeps my love handles full. Right? Like, dude, I'll get down. I'll get just about to the best shape that I've ever been in, and then I go on tour for 60 days.
Yep.
And even if I eat good on tour and I still work out, just that little bit of drinking at the shows, it just keeps that weight on me.
Yep.
But also, of course, we're not always the same person that we want to be when we drink. If I have too many drinks and somebody says the wrong thing, your give a fuck goes a little bit smaller, right?
Absolutely.
So I've had to learn that about myself and take accountability for that. So now I'm really treating alcohol like a cheat meal. Mm-hmm. I'm not that guy that's not drinking. I'm just not drinking.
Sure. Yeah, I pretty much stay away from, like hard liquor now. I'm like a red wine guy.
Oh yeah.
I've gotten to that point where I'm like, just red wine, I'm good. If we go out or whatever, it's hard being out in Nashville and drinking red wine at a honky tonk. But
Well, I found also because I love tequila, right? So if I can just do like a nice reposado or a Nejo, right, I'm gonna sip it.
Yeah.
I don't want to shoot that. If I start taking shots, we got a long, fun night. And I know that, right?
Yeah.
And there's some times when I'm like, you know what, tonight I want to have a long, fun night.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop myself from that, but I really minimize it. And I got a big bar in my house, right? And I had got back up, 2020, into 2021, I'd got back up to 280 pounds.
Oh, shit.
Touring, drinking a bottle of tequila a night. There's always an excuse in Nashville to drink, whether it's a business meeting or a function you're going to, or a dinner, or studio session. I mean, whatever. But I was like, man, I was back up to 287 pounds. So 2022, I only drank 20 times the whole year, and got down to 230. 7% body fat.
Man,
I was looking good, man. And then 2023 hit. I went out to LA for the Grammys. Went out there to record an album with my Uncle Shooter, and out there, it's just, I end up drinking. And so I put on another 20 pounds, and I did an 81-day tour with Jellyroll.
Uh-oh. Lots of tequila.
I only drank 30 days.
Oh, okay.
30 times out of 81 days.
Okay.
So, which sounds like a lot.
And it doesn't, though. It doesn't, though. It actually does. I mean, maybe to other people, but it doesn't to me.
Yeah, because the business, right?
Absolutely.
Like backstage and shows and walking out in front of 27,000 people.
Do a shot to calm the nerves a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what I learned, though, is when I decided in 2022 that I wasn't going to drink anymore, I've done every show sober since. And I actually don't like drinking before. I used to use that as a crutch, and I'd say I got to kill the nerves.
Yep.
And then when I faced that shit like a man and said, no, I'm not going to drink before the show anymore, now I'm so on point where I thought I was better drunk, right? But now I realize I'm way better sober. Yep. So now I don't even like the feeling of going out there with a drink in me.
Yep. You can tell a difference.
I had to face that shit.
You can tell a difference.
Yeah.
I know it's just a much smaller scale, but when I have to give a speech or something,
oh yeah,
I used to just do a little shot or whatever, just to, I would say, to calm the nerves. Yeah. But I actually found that I'm not as sharp.
For sure.
When that happens, of course, alcohol doesn't make you as sharp.
No.
So
makes you feel like you are.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's right. It fools you.
I dance better. I sing better. No, I don't.
Yeah. No, I still dance horribly.
Yeah. Way better if I'm sober. But so I have a bar in my house, and that was one of the things that I had to realize is I don't drink for excuses anymore, or with excuses, right? So it's because I can find an excuse always if I drink with an excuse, right? Because today was a bad day, I'm going to have a drink. Or today was a great day, I'm going to celebrate and have a drink, right? I can find an excuse every day to have a drink. So now it's just, I want to have a drink. Yeah. I'll have one. But there's a process that goes before that. It's I got legs tomorrow, right? Right. Or I got an early morning meeting, or I want to get up at 4:30 and do cardio. Yeah. Or, man, I jumped on the scale today and I was 5 pounds down. I know that if I drink tonight, I am going to weigh an extra 5 pounds for the next 3 or 4 days while I'm bloated and my liver's trying to figure out what the fuck is in it. Yeah. And my body's not synthesizing protein, or my metabolism's not working because it's trying to metabolize that alcohol and get it out of me, right? And I know what it does to my body now. So there's a process of things before I pick up that drink now that I think about. Yeah. And if I go through all that, and I'm like, you know what? I just really want to have a drink tonight. You know, we're going out for dinner or something. Want to have a nice couple tequilas. I'm gonna do it, but it's a lot less than it's ever been.
No. Yeah, I'm somewhat similar. I mean, it's trying to make an excuse to drink, and like I said, I'm a red wine guy pretty much. That's actually helped me because, you know, I won't sit around, or you know, if I'm at a party or whatever, you know, a glass of red wine, it does me what, I don't know, 5 shots of tequila will do. However it reacts to my body, just it's a nice calming effect, and I love it. So that's kind of my kind of my go-to now. But yeah, it is growing up in Nashville.
What do you think? Because I know you're into it. What do you think the difference is between on your body from a glass of red wine or say the equal amount of tequila?
Oh, you know, there's some studies that show that like a glass of red wine before bed is actually good for you. I don't know if that's just from people that love wine and want to be like, they have their bias in their study. But, you know, there's like resveratrol in wine that's good. I think anything in excess, though,
for sure,
is bad.
I was just wondering if it did something, if it metabolized faster in the liver, or if there was something.
Actually, I need to read up on this because it definitely feels way different. Just one glass of red wine, I mean, it's just
you don't really feel it. You don't feel bloated the next day.
I can drink a lot of tequila. Yeah. I mean, we both grew up in Nashville. I'm sure you can too. No, you know, drink a lot of tequila. I can drink a lot of liquor, period.
Really, I don't know that many people that can hang with me. And I don't get hangovers, so I get up the next day and go to the gym at 8 a.m.
Oh, wow.
They're all like, oh, you're a fucking psycho.
You're an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't do the workout thing afterwards, but I can throw down. And, but I don't like feeling bad the next day.
Yeah.
And, you know, red wine for me has kind of made it, you know, it's nice and easy. I think last night it was Laura's mom, my girlfriend's mom's birthday. Had a couple glasses of red wine. It was nice. She had a couple glasses of red wine. Laura drank her Chardonnay. Yeah. You know, so it's nice and chill. And where instead, you know, I would have a beer and I have a shot of tequila.
Next thing you know, y'all are fighting or arguing about something.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's loud. The music's up.
Exactly.
Like, it's not chill.
Yeah, I don't want to go to bed at 11 o'clock at night.
That's the effects on the body.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it. That's how it goes. But you know, Nashville's an interesting place because of that. Because you know, I don't think it's like other cities in the sense that growing up here and going out here, you know, it's a lot of drinking. It's easy to go down those rabbit holes and the honky tonk bars. I love an Old Smoky honky tonk bar.
Oh yeah,
I like just being in there and you know, hanging out with my friends and you know, letting loose. That's how I grew up. You know, my favorite old bar. It's not that old actually, so I shouldn't say old bar. My favorite bar was the original Losers before it had any expansion. Yeah. Yep. I love that place. Low ceilings. You know, back then I think people could say I don't smoke, but for whatever reason I like that environment.
Yeah, I still smoke. That's one of the things I got to let go of.
Yeah. What do you think of these vapes?
I think they're horrible.
Yeah, man.
And I've got my 24-year-old or 21-year-old son. He's just puffing on that thing. And I just actually got him into the doctor, went and checked his hormone levels. They were bottomed out, 21 years old. He's, you know, 330 pounds. So I got him on a little bit of hormones with the doctor and trying trizepatide.
What is that?
You know, this semaglutide?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we were doing semaglutide. I got an employee of mine that's it's like a day-to-day assistant. She's a driver when we're on tour, but she was obese, and we put her on semaglutide, and she's lost 90 pounds.
Yeah, wow.
So then the doctor that I was going to, he was like, man, they got trizepatide. It's even better, and it's less side effects. So we switched her to trizepatide, and we just put my son on trizepatide to see how it works. It suppresses your appetite.
I see.
I tried it, and it made it where I would not know that I needed to eat until I was like hangry.
Yeah,
like it just kills that whole urge, cravings. You don't have the craving for sweets or alcohol, which scares me a little bit, right? Because you don't want to lose human desire.
Yeah,
right. But you know, I think it's a great healthy drug. It's really good for lowering blood sugar. So like diabetic, cholesterol. They're saying it's going to be like an anti-aging thing eventually because of all the effects that it has on like cholesterol and the main reasons that people die.
Yep.
So just got my son on that, but like he was another example of going in and his liver levels were like 3 times the high max.
Oh no.
And he doesn't drink alcohol. He drinks Mountain Dews, vapes.
Is he taking any supplements?
None. He wasn't doing anything.
Really? That's strange.
Yeah, crazy. He doesn't even take. I can't even get him to take a vitamin.
Huh.
So pulled all his blood work, and we're working on it. But they immediately put him on a low testosterone, got him the trizepatide, and he's down a few pounds. Trying to get him, just get that motivation, like see those results, and because it's been such a game changer for me. Right, is getting in good shape.
Oh yeah.
Just not only physically and how I feel and how I perform, but how I act. I mean, like so many of the bad decisions I made throughout life were because of like insecurities or self-doubt or not being confident in myself, right?
Yeah.
And getting in better shape and training and pushing yourself to those limits and realizing how strong you are, not just physically, but mentally, and how you can break through barriers and I can't, right? Getting rid of that helps out so much in other aspects of life that I hope he finds that love.
Yeah, man. He says 24.
No, he's 21.
21.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
Well, if you want our doctors to look at it, man, I'm happy to. I mean, it's especially those, figuring out the liver part.
Yeah.
That's
we
very
don't know what
important.
that's from yet.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of weird, but I just tell you, like there's something called like a coffee enema.
Mm-hmm.
So you're,
no, I do them.
Oh, you do?
Well, I do. I go get a
colonic.
Colon hydrotherapy.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and they finish it with coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
They clean you out, and then they do a coffee, and then they do a greens afterwards.
Really?
Yep. It's right here in Franklin. It's amazing.
That's really cool.
Benefit.
Yeah. So, I mean, coffee enemas, man, your blood pumps to your liver once every 3 minutes. So in a 15-minute coffee enema, that'd be 5 times. And it opens up the bile ducts in your liver and pumps the toxins out.
Oh, wow.
So it's a major liver detox.
Wow.
And, our cancer patients for years, I mean, our hospital is different. We would have them doing 15 to 20 pounds of raw organic fruits and vegetables a day via pressed juice.
Yeah.
They would do 5 coffee enemas a day. For if you're killing off cancer, you're basically detoxing the body. It's a major, major detox.
Yeah.
And Dedrick Perry, my business partner, he still does like I think he said, I was talking to the other day, I think he said he does like 4 a week. He's got like a set routine on how many he does. If I'm feeling bad, coffee enema. Something else could be good. There's a Dr. Howard in Belmead, letting him check him out. He's got a lot of cool equipment, ozone therapy.
Yeah.
So
I've been doing that lately.
Oh man, ozone therapy.
You like that?
Bro. So I have an ozone generator in my bedroom here and in Mexico. And
so what is your I might be talking about something different.
Do you do the IV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they dump my blood and then they pump it full of the
ozone and they put it back in your body.
Oxygen and then put it back in my body.
Yeah. Oh, we do that at our hospital as well. Ozone it's incredible, man. People ask me about stem cells and things like that. And I love stem cells. I mean, I think that's great for injuries and actually for a lot of things. For your lungs, it's really good. But if you were to ask me the one thing, if I could take it on a regular basis, what would it be? Ozone therapy. Wow. And so I've hacked the whole thing to where, I can get the IVs at my hospital, but I want it every day. And so you can do it rectally, kind of like the colonic. Yeah. And so I do it every day, and I've rigged it to where I don't have to have the bag. And normally you're supposed to put it in the bag and then put the tube and squeeze it, and it goes in and cleans you out. But I just took it directly from the machine. I got a special little adapter. And, so IV ozone is great. You can do direct IV. You can do the major autohemotherapy, which is what you were talking about. Yeah. You can do something called a 10 pass, which is 10 passes with a special machine. And there's something called ozone autophoresis, ozone apheresis. And it takes your blood out, it runs it through a machine and puts it back. That's the best one. Yeah. Pretty expensive, a couple $1,000 to do that one. But
it takes like a lot of it.
Yeah, it takes time, and this is a tremendous amount of ozone.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do all of that is you have to go into the doctor
Yeah.
and do the process. But doing like the ozone, called enema, you get about 50% of the IV one that you're doing with the major autoimmune therapy.
But you can do it every day.
But you can do it every day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost you money every time. I pay $25 a month for my oxygen tank, and that's it. And that's my, I bought a $2,000 machine.
Yeah.
But I can do it daily. And
I go probably, we try to go at least twice a week, twice a week. We get IVs, do NAD.
Oh yeah, I make that.
Probably one a week.
Yeah, we make that in our lab.
Oh, do you
Oh
really?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, I love that.
I do too, man.
Me and Sebastian, when we go get them, we'll race. I'm like cranking mine up, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on tight.
I figured out how to do it though. You know, you just crank it up, it gets real serious, breathe through it, and then you crank it up a little bit more, you know, when it's not as intense, and you just keep pushing it up. I can do, 1,000 milligram in a 500 bag in about an hour.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's a gram an hour. Yeah, that's a lot. I like to keep my dose at like 500 milligrams of it. Anything more than that, I don't like the effects. But it's something. When I'm in Mexico, I do it once a week on Mondays.
Oh wow!
And I get a bag in. And
does it make you feel sharper and like?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It makes me feel sharper. It makes me sleep better. It resets your circadian rhythm, which is really interesting. They don't know why, but it does reset your circadian rhythm.
Since the bag I got last time, and I never noticed it before, but this entire, because I have real bad night terrors, and I've like kind of learned certain things that trigger like sugar. If I eat a lot of dessert at dinner, I'm gonna like literally get murdered in my dream and wake up 3 or 4 times like gasping for air. So, sometimes I'll stay away from the cheesecake for that. Right? Not always worth it.
Don't have the cheesecake.
Just depends on where I'm at.
Right.
But I've noticed this week that I've been getting solid sleep. Like, and it was really the first time that I've ever noticed that it's been happening to me in my entire life. And the only thing that I can, say it could be is, only thing I've done different is I've done NAD the last 2 weeks regularly.
Oh, bro,
that's a lot of times
what it
it'd be
is.
once a month or once,
Yeah.
But now that I'm getting more on a regimen of it.
If you could do every 2 weeks, that's a good dose. Do you know Jason Hollis? He owns the Eighth Room.
Yeah, no, Hollis.
Yeah, Hollis.
Yeah.
So
you threw me off by saying
sorry.
Yeah.
He has
That's
a
my
nasal
guy.
spray. He has an NAD nasal spray. He told me about.
Yeah, he was saying something about that.
And so
I wonder what that's.
I'm going to try it. I want to look at the bioavailability of it. But it does make sense because it's going right,
what percentage
right in your
that is.
system. But my issue with NAD is it takes a long time, and it's just like ozone. It's hard to do all the time.
Yeah, man, it sucks, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind it that bad, and then like I kind of find it's kind of like we were talking about the other day. It's kind of like a tattoo where you kind of start to crave that pain, right?
Yeah.
Because you know the effects.
Yeah.
You get a pretty piece of artwork on you, or with the NAD, you're just sharp and clear.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing the sleep for the first time,
Man,
which is a game changer for me.
that is a game changer for
Dude,
you.
that's one of the reasons I haven't quit smoking cigarettes is because I'll wake up frantic from these night terrors, from these I'm going through some serious shit in my head and in my sleep, and I'll wake up and have to smoke a cigarette to calm back down to go to sleep. So that was one of the reasons that I hadn't quit smoking. So one of the reasons I was justifying not quitting cigarettes, because it was, it became like routine and a crush that kind of helped me go back to sleep.
Yep.
Because I can't do anything else. I can't.
You ever try the gum, the Nicorette gum?
I haven't.
Man, so yeah, try like every time you wake up, just start chewing.
Yeah.
Have the gum next to your bed and knock it. I used to dip, and then I switched to the Nicorette gum. And
It's one of those things that I feel like I don't want to switch one for the other. I just want to fucking quit.
yeah, but I agree. I feel you on that. But think about the difference between putting smoke in your lungs versus chewing the nicotine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big health, difference for you.
Sure.
Get cleaned off cigarettes for 2 or 3 months, then come down and see us in Mexico, because 50% of IV stem cells go to the lungs.
Oh, wow.
It's really good at
But I've
healing
been dying
lungs.
to try stem cells.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
I've heard about it and, not read in depth in it, but I've been reading about it for a decade.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that's something I'd love to try.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're welcome to
Because
come.
I've done like PRP
Yep.
Right. I've done some of those things. I love the ozone. That's like something that I'm passionate about is like cellular health.
It's
I
almost
get my
everything.
blood work done every 6 weeks. Make sure my test levels are nice and strong. I could run through that wall head first.
Yeah.
Flip a car. But I just make sure that I'm firing on all cylinders, and getting the most out of my body and, cellular health.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome to come down anytime. I would recommend it's easy for me to say, hey, try not to smoke for a couple months.
Yeah.
But we could get a really good impact if those lungs have been clear for a little while, and then you get those IVs.
That's what I'll do.
And
because I plan on quitting. I'm going to quit. I'm not planning on. I'm telling you, I'm going to quit smoking cigarettes. And as soon as I do, I'll come down there and get that. I would love that.
yeah, man, it's a week long. Fly in on a Sunday night. We pick you up from San Diego actually Monday morning, and then take you down. You stay at a hotel in TJ, but it's a week long program, and you do NAD every day.
Yeah.
You do ozone pretty much every day. We got a 8-person hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
Oh wow!
You do
I've
hyperbaric
wanted
oxygen.
to do one of those. I've never.
Oh
done
man,
that.
it's all the things you've been reading about that.
Yeah.
It's like we got it.
I do the cold plunge. I do the cryo.
Yep.
Like any chance I get to do that, it's like my self health time, right?
Absolutely. Wait, what about sauna? You ever do?
Did a sauna today.
Oh, awesome.
Just had it 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, man.
Infrared sauna for 30 minutes. Try to do it every chance I get.
You ever do the dry sauna?
Yeah. Yeah. At the gym, so I have to drive across town to get
Find
to
it,
one.
man. That's the hard part about it.
I know. I wish I would put one in my house, but at this point with 6 kids,
You don't have room.
I don't have an extra room. I'd have to like pull one of my office out and make that like a sauna room. And
Yeah.
I just haven't committed to it like that. I just drive across town and hit it. But yeah, I love all that sauna, cold plunge.
Man.
Dude, I'm been saying I was going to get one for like the back porch, even if I just start off with like a horse trough
Yeah.
and ice.
Especially right now with the weather being cold. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
much the temperature that you need.
Yeah, I want to build a little area at the house though where I can have that sauna, cold plunge.
Yeah, make it easy.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing over here. We're building a little spa upstairs. It's going to have.
So I don't need to put one in my house.
No, you just come here. We got you. Yeah, I'm saying you're welcome
Yeah, just
anytime.
swing by.
Yeah, it's going to have sauna, dry sauna, cold plunge, wet sauna, pulse electromagnetic field machine. I got a red light bed. Before you leave, I know we've been on here a while, but I just got this In Harmony sound lounge where you lay down and the whole thing vibrates and you listen to these
Oh wow.
different frequencies and music. It's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah.
I was skeptical, but it's cool.
No, man, the frequencies is a real thing.
Yeah.
We were on this last tour and we had an off day. We went to Mount Shasta.
Oh, yep.
You ever been there?
No, where's that?
California?
Okay, yeah.
So it's like, I guess it's supposed to be, I don't want to sound stupid because I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like it's like the center point of gravity or something for the earth. And they say it's like the most spiritual place on the planet. And so we did a spiritual guide, spiritual tour, right, with this guy. And he's like showing us, he's like, this is this dimension and this. And it's crazy. Like you feel it.
Really?
You feel it up there. And you'll see like people from all different places. Like there were Muslims out there that were coming, like there's people that migrate here to catch some of that energy. And they had like the caves that they found, the 8.5, 9 foot skeletons in the mountain.
Interesting.
Yeah, Mount Shasta.
Yeah. I've heard about Shasta. I didn't know about it being like a spiritual place.
Oh yeah, and so then we did a thing afterwards where we did the cacao ceremony.
Oh, cool.
We drank the Guatemalan chocolate.
How was that?
Real thick. It was crazy.
Was it like a bunch of energy?
I felt just like a super. It's energy, but it wasn't like
peaceful.
Peaceful. It's
Interesting.
Very peaceful.
Okay.
And they did a sound bath, and then yeah.
It's frequencies.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Oh, it's real. I mean, you
And then we wrote down stuff. It was my whole band and crew wrote down things we wanted to get rid of and threw it in the
that's cool,
fire.
man.
Right. And then had to say some affirmations.
Yep.
And then the sound bath and the cacao. It was cool. It was a cool experience.
It's like a whole ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. I've done similar things, not with like cacao, but like in Tepoztlan, Mexico. I did Ibogaine there. Have you heard of Ibogaine? Yeah, so Ibogaine, it comes from the Tabernacle Iboga root in Gabon, Africa. I actually did it to get off opiates, man. So 2008, I threw a Thai kick and I tore my LCL, PCL, meniscus, and we had team doctors, and they prescribed me, pain medication.
Yep.
Was taking them for a couple of years.
I spent 4 years addicted to hydrocodone.
Yeah, same thing, exactly.
A lot of them.
And so I went to stop, and I went through withdrawal. I had dealt with that for about 6 months, trying to stop, going through withdrawal, trying to stop, going through withdrawal. And so I went to a therapist, and I said, I'm completely functional, running my businesses, but I'd rather have a clear brain and deal with the pain than a foggy brain and no pain whatsoever. And he said, America's behind the times when it comes to opiate withdrawal. Google Ibogaine. And I'm like, Google Ibogaine, and it said it supposedly stopped 100% opiate withdrawal. Wow. And I didn't really believe it. Watched a couple documentaries. I was like, I believe those people. I'm like, they're not full of shit. Like, there's got to be something to it. Yeah, hardcore heroin addicts, doing Ibogaine and experiencing no withdrawal. And so I took a plane to Mexico, and Tepoztlan, Mexico. I did Ibogaine at a place called Ibogaquest there. They're actually still open. Great people. And I was home 72 hours later, never had a withdrawal, never had a craving. Haven't touched an opiate since. And doesn't actually work on fentanyl, unfortunately. The synthetics, it doesn't. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let me go back. Yeah. I don't know the protocols for that. I don't know if it works. I've heard different things, but I haven't really studied this stuff in a while. But for heroin, OxyContin, these short-lasting opiates, it works great. Yeah. And so I actually ran clinics down there for a while. Oh, wow. And was helping people get off of the opiates.
It's something that just wasn't. It's not a. That's just America, right?
Yeah, well, and it's actually gaining traction. Ibogaine's gaining traction right now. Kentucky just passed something this year, actually, kind of pushing it forward. Ibogaine, it's probably the strongest psychedelic that there is.
Oh, wow!
It's like 24 to 36 hours, deeply introspective. You're 4 years old, and your dad maybe yells at you, and you realize you're this way in life because of that taught you something that caused you to be the way you are, or you're 8, or you're 10. And so it's like a movie of your life. But
how does that last?
That was probably a good 24 hours of that, and you're still in it. Depending on how much they give you, if they give you more. But it's generally, I think, 24 to 36 hours is the range. And but I've never seen it not work on a short-lasting opiate on the withdrawal. I've seen people go back to it. You have to want to stay sober.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to. The person has to want it 100%.
Yeah,
you can get them clean. You can give them all the support in the world until they're ready to change their life. They're going to continue to go back.
Yeah,
I've learned that the hard way.
Absolutely. But it's pretty interesting. So yeah, anytime you want to come to Mexico, though, you're always welcome. We don't have Ibogaine there, but we have stem cells and
definitely
and some other stuff.
Yeah, as soon as I commit to that, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Lord knows I need my lungs.
Yeah, buddy, you're gonna be a star here. It's you got to have those lungs. And man, we've been going a while, and I know we got to roll, but your story is extremely inspirational. And it's inspirational to me, and I look up to you because, the reason I wanted you to tell the years is because, I don't know what that's like, what you went through, but there's a lot of pain and struggle in there. And, you didn't quit. You overcame the adversity. You've come out the other side, and you're wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And, that's admirable, man. And, it's an inspiration to a lot of people. And so, just know, man, like,
I appreciate
I respect you, and a lot of people do. And we see what you've been through. We see who you've become, and, you're a good human being. And that's what's important, man.
Oh. Yeah, man. We made it.
We made it.
We made it, baby. God did.
That's right.
Yeah. It's been a crazy journey. It's been beautiful, and I feel like the greatest gift I've been given is the one that I can give. All right. So like being able to give that back, and the friends that I've lost, the years that I lost, the family members that I've lost, for them to not die in vain, something great has to come from all of this, right? So me telling that story and it helping bring people back, helping save lives, helping motivate or inspire people, it makes all that shit not be in vain. All the stuff that we went through, all the things that we've endured could so easily, be just that.
Yeah.
And instead now it gets to be a story of triumph and redemption that helps people,
No, absolutely.
And I'm happy, and I have purpose and I'm fulfilled. There's plenty of times where I wish, or I think, maybe I need more, but it's like, I believe in God's timing and I believe in His will matched with me putting the work in for the blessings that I've been given and that I'm gonna receive.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, it's been interesting to hear the ride. I forgot to bring something up because I think that Jelly's doing it as well, making a big difference with his story. Have y'all collaborated, like talked about how together you're going to help?
Oh yeah,
all these people.
I mean, me and Jelly been best friends since 2004, 20 years. He slept on my couch for 4 or 5 years. He went to jail. I went to jail, went to prison. And we were there for each other. Like we've been through this whole ride together. So watching him explode and reach the heights that he's reaching has just been so surreal and so amazing.
It's awesome.
And he's always like, "Can you believe it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can. I'm watching it, baby." Yeah. Like I knew it. Yeah. Even when we didn't know it, we still didn't give up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what separated us from a lot of other people. Is just that perseverance. And he's been doing. I've still had a lot of red tape getting back into facilities because I'm on parole. But we've been working on it for years, and soon I'll be able to go back into the actual prisons, travel abroad more, and be able to really take that to the next level. But he's been able to, go into jails, and then, we went back to CCA and did that concert for the inmates. And then when we were on tour in Omaha, Nebraska, he hit me up and was like, "Hey, I'm finna go into a county jail. You want to go?" And so I went in, got to tell my testimony to a bunch of guys and girls. Then we performed together. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely me and him's thing. It's us giving back, not only for all the second chances that we got, but all the things that we took also, Yeah. Like I don't have any like self-pity but I definitely, did a lot in my life that hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. And, it makes it feel like it's not as much in vain.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's absolutely. And you both, I mean, it's so cool seeing two guys from Nashville that, it reminds me of Nashville. Yeah. It reminds me, this is who we grew up with. This is that grit and that fight, standing up for what's right, talking about God, I mean, people don't expect tattooed rappers to really, they might say, "Oh, thank you, God," but to break it down, the impact.
Well, we're only here because of God and His mercy.
Yeah.
Me and Jelly, we've buried a lot of friends way before fentanyl.
Yeah.
Violence and so, me and my family and him and his family were the ones that made it out the fire.
You did.
And it's kind of the gift that we get to give back is to lead people from it.
That's
right. Say, hey, you don't got to walk through those flames. I know your feet hurting. All you got to do is take a step away. Yeah.
And you're so relatable because you've lived it.
Yeah.
Like what it's like to be an addict. What it's like to sell drugs. What it's like to go to prison. you're not just talking to the people that are experiences. You've had loved ones die of overdoses, all of the, like, you've lived it. Yeah. So the fact that you can, connect with people and say, look at me now.
No, I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
Right. It's still, that's why I redid the, Have You Ever Seen It Rain song. Me and my daughter did, because it even though it may seem like we're living our best life right now, that doesn't mean we're not still going through the storm.
Yeah.
We just learned to dance in the rain.
That's beautiful.
Like, we're going to go through things, and we're still going through things. And as humans and as people, like, we're never in the free and clear of tragedy or hard times or, obstacles. Like, we're going to face those our whole life.
Yeah.
It's just learning to deal with them, take accountability, and fucking handle that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tackle it and do it with a smile and be grateful for it, right? Some people don't get the chance to feel, even, people don't. I've got so many friends that died so young, or, I got a best friend that's been sitting in prison since he was 17, 26 years, right? He doesn't get a chance to live. So it's like, quit complaining about traffic, man. Roll the window down.
Yeah.
Breathe. Some people don't get to sit in a car and drive. Some people just be grateful. Even because if you fall in love with the journey, you never, what is the top? You get somewhere you're going to sit? No, like, you're going to find the next mountain to climb, right?
Absolutely.
And knowing that, then you're going to continue to go through struggles. You're going to continue to go through obstacles and fall in love with that. Instead of looking at an obstacle as something that's slowing you down, look at it as a puzzle. Figure out how to get around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you cool if we go another 15 minutes?
For sure.
I was trying to respect
100%.
time, but I just want to, there's a couple of things we didn't actually talk about because we just started talking.
Yeah.
Your daughter does music with you.
Yeah.
And was that, which daughter is that? She was the one when you had her when you were 18, you said?
Yep. That's what I had her when I was 19. Found out she was pregnant when I was 18.
What's that been like? Because
Dude, she's my rider, man. So she is been daddy's girl since day one, and she's got that real deal story and grit herself. Her mom was a stripper, dad was a drug dealer. We both did prison time. She persevered through her own tragedies and struggles. When I came home from prison, I was 13, I was 12. When she was 12 when I went, and I came home. She was 16, about to be 17, and she was going to school, high school, working 2 jobs, hustling, kind of following the same path I did. And immediately when I got home, she was just like, right back with daddy, and that led to her coming out on the road with me, and then her coming to the studio with me. And I always knew she could sing, but she was like really shy in front of me. And then I wrote the song called Bad Company. And I was like, hey, I need you to just sing background vocals. They're not even barely going to hear you. Right? And she went in there, and it was me and Mike Hartnett. And we're looking there while she's recording. We're like, holy fuck, she's good. Right? And so then we turned her up, got her to sing another verse, and we released the song #1 on the blues charts. First thing she ever did. And so then she caught the bug, and we just released a new single called Catch You When You Fall. It's a heartstring puller. Nice. I had the song, and it was kind of an apology to her, right? It was like, sorry I didn't do better. It's okay, look where we are. I could blame it on the weather or how life's been so hard. I could have done more to be who you needed. Yeah, I dropped the ball. I hit rock bottom, but I'm here to catch you if you fall.
That's beautiful.
And she came in with her verse, and I didn't know what she was going to write or anything. I was just like, I just want you to get on the song with me. And I was literally in the studio just bawling, crying when I came in there and heard her verse, because it was just so, it was how she feels. And she started it off with, I never cared about the fame. I just wanted an outlet to relate to you. You know, and I was just like, oh, yeah. And she's, you know, she's that exactly. Like, she'll never sign to a record label. She loves making music, but she doesn't care about any of it. As far as, she cares about it, right? But she's like, she doesn't really, she's not gonna ever bend or change who she is. I can't even put a mix on a song. If like we mix it too much, she's like, no, take that off. I like it the way we recorded it. It's like, it's a demo, girl. Like, let us produce this record. She's like, nah, I like it like that. So she's, you know, she's got her own thing, and she's one of the coolest dressed women I've ever seen in my life. Cowboy boots. She's got this bright orange hair with the matching Mustang, and it's way too fast. I can't believe that I let her get it. She literally just totaled her Mustang.
Oh, man.
And then I'm like, okay, well, let me help you get another one. And she goes and finds one that has 850 horsepower.
Oh, my
It's
gosh.
faster than the one that she totaled.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
maybe she'll learn from the first wreck, you know?
She said she did. She said she wasn't going to do that anymore.
What's it like her going on the road with you? What's that been like?
It's amazing, man. The whole journey's been great. Watching her come into her own as an artist and find herself, find her voice, find her identity, you know. It's so rewarding, and so she's got such an old soul that it's something so much needed and so not new, because it's like old sound, but you don't hear it anymore. You know, just the pain in her voice and the tone and how she sings and what she sings about. She's just incredible. And I think she has a long, very, very big career ahead of her. She's still young, so she's, you know, like I said, she's makes her own lip gloss and all organic lip gloss, and she'll do a drop every month, and it'll like sell out in 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
You know, and then she just takes that money and goes buys more and makes it, right? We're actually going to release another project in January, because we did an album together, a daddy-daughter EP called Sunny Days, and it's coming up on the 5-year mark of it. So we're going to do another one and just surprise the fans with it.
That's awesome.
Be cool.
When you got out and she came right back to you, you know, you said she was doing her thing for a minute, and then
Yeah.
Was that a big relief? Was that just
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, she rode with me the whole time I was in there. Like, she came to visit me every time she could get a ride. She would always call me. I used to think she was going to get my cell swarmed, because she would always say, I'm coming to break you out, Dad. Shut up. They were listening.
Yeah. So you already knew, I guess, that she was going to be there.
But it was a relief, and it was a lot of pressure too, because she wasn't, and like I said, she was following in my path. And I remember one of the first days that I was out, she called me like, is anybody at the studio? I was like, no, why? And she was like, can I pull around back? I was like, yeah. She comes, and I'm in a Federal halfway house with an ankle bracelet on. She comes flying up in the back of the studio, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I just ran from the police. They tried to pull me over. I ain't got no license. I'm like, 3 days out of prison. I'm like, girl, I thought they were about to get surrounded. I'm fixing to have to, you know, hide my daughter out. But, you know, but watching me be that man that I said I was going to be and lead by example, she fell right into place.
That's awesome.
You know, and I've kind of figured out that's really what parenting is, right? You got to be honest with them. Tell them what you've been through. Tell them how it affected you, right? Then you got to lead by example and show them that what you're saying isn't bullshit. And you just got to be there to catch them when they make their own mistakes, because they're going to do it.
Yeah, man. Well, you're a good father, man. Good man. I love hearing the story.
I try, man.
It's good, man. It's freaking good. More people need to hear your story, and yeah, man, just keep it going, because there's so much bullshit, fake
so much
stuff out there.
Yeah.
And so few people have actually lived through the experience you have, you know, or even something even close to it. And so the fact that you can come out the other side, I mean, I was locked up for a while, and, you know, I've got a lot of friends that are dead too, man. I think about over the years in those circles. And you were in it a lot longer than I was. I had a little short stint,
Listen,
high school.
it doesn't matter how long you've been in there. How long did it take for you to figure it out?
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of one of those things like the old saying, God doesn't give us more than we can not bear, or, what.
Handle, yeah.
Yeah. Some people get it in a 24-hour lockup. Some people do 20 years and still don't figure it out.
Yeah.
So I definitely figured out where I didn't want to be. And that's one of my favorite things is when these people would be like, oh, you forgot where you came from. I'm like, I didn't forget where I came from. I remember and I ain't going back.
That's right.
Right. Or you changed. Yeah, of course, I evolved.
Yeah.
Right. I'm supposed to change. I didn't change who I am. I didn't change my morals, my values. I'll show up and help anybody that needs help at any time. But if you want to come see me, you're not going to find me in the hood right now. You're going to find me at the gym or the studio.
Yeah.
And you're more than welcome to come hang out.
Yeah.
If you want to come get this lift in.
Yeah. Come on down.
They run from that. Oh, what are you doing today, legs?
Yeah, exactly.
What day do you do arms? Never, legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's been beautiful, man. It's been an incredible ride, and I'm thankful and grateful to be here and be able to have the chance to come on your show and, share a little bit of it, and we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I could make this thing like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
I'm like really love it, but we should do a part 2 and wrap
sure.
some more because I've actually already had other things that I want to talk about. I'm like, but we got to do it again and we'll knock it out.
Let's
So,
do it.
Well, Struggle, thank you, brother. I
Thank you,
appreciate you, and I'm proud of you being from Nashville and what you've done, man.
Thank you, man. Likewise.
Thanks.